The company man is coming. No, that's all it's missing at the end, you know.
Yeah, I think I can do that. I get a voiceover, and yeah, I think so.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the evening roast. Quite late evening roast, but evening roast nonetheless. And I am your host, Mr. Kemosabe. And with me today is, as always, Mr. Sim.
What's up?
And our special guest, the man called Kemosabe.
That's not going to be confusing at all.
No, we've been waiting for this for a long time, and it's happening tonight. The Kemo versus the Kemo.
Yeah.
The Subway versus the Sabe.
You see, this is a trap.
You set me up.
You thought you were here to promote your book, but in reality,
you're like, give me back my name, bitch.
We have problems. Ever since you came around.
Yes.
I've been getting. Hey, when is your book company man coming out? I'm like, gosh dang.
My bad. Yeah, I remember I was doing a stream sometime, and you turned up in the chat, and as the first time I'd seen you somewhere, I'm like, oh man, that's because at that time I think Michael was like Bancroft was confusing the two of us anyway for a couple of weeks before we realized we're two different people.
That's how I discovered you. Somebody was like, Kemosabe. I'm like, what the fuck is Kemosabe? Those reviews? Yeah, let's check those reviews. And I hit you out like, those are sweet reviews.
But it's not Kemosabe.
No.
Also with us is Mr. Tyke Barrett.
Thank you very much for having me. How you guys doing?
Oh,
hey, good tank.
Can't complain. And you're doing fan art, ain't you, over here?
I am. I'm putting together a big CG collage, and piece by piece,
looks good.
I've got some of the company men. I've got some Star Circuit over here, and it's just going to keep growing. This is 3 feet by 4 feet at 300 DPI, so it's a chunky picture.
300 DPI. How many feet by feet?
3 feet by 4 feet.
That's huge.
Dang on.
Yeah. Nice little wall scroll.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be
something fun.
It's ambitious.
Yeah, it's gonna take probably like a couple of months to do it, since this is a fan art piece. But it's gonna be fun when it's all said and done.
Who we got in the chat here? We got Mr. Greg. He says, "Hail." He says, "Bring forth the man with the plan from the land down under."
That's me.
We got Mr. Mark with us.
It's weird. That sounded exactly like the goddamn song, though.
Right?
I know, right?
Yeah. I like it when you go on YouTube and somebody's got that, and there'll always be at least one Aussie in there that's like, "Please rise for the national anthem." You know? They come from the land down under. I love that song over here.
Yeah, it's freaking great.
We have Mr. Grahovac. He says, "Proud backer."
Thank you very much. I've said this before in a stream. Like, if it wasn't for the backers, I'd just be a guy who had 60 pages of cool art. That's it. I'd just be holding all these art pages, going, "What do I do with this?" Like if it's not for the backers making it all a reality, it'd be just like suspiciously wealthy furries. That meme, and they pay someone to make exactly what they want to see on a page. It's like that sort of thing. I'm paying someone to make my characters look cool and do all this cool stuff, and what do you do with it? At art school, I had an art teacher, and she said, if you're not making your art for it to be interacted by other people, she's very, very brash and crude. You're just having a wank, she'd say. You're just having a big old wank. It's masturbation. You're just doing something to make yourself feel good. If you're not making art so other people can engage with it, it's just this self-masturbatory sort of thing that you're doing to make yourself feel good, which I think I've got to agree with that. Like you can sit down and write a poem or a journal entry and do it for yourself and go, that's really cool. I really enjoyed it. I enjoy reading over it, looking at it. I did it to express my feelings. But if somebody else doesn't engage with it, it was just for you. It was just this thing to make yourself feel good, which is really what having a wank's all about. So I think she was onto something, old Jill.
Just having a wank.
Just having a wank.
Yeah, that's it.
She was a character.
It's a common line, but yeah, that's what it is, dude. If you don't share with the world, it's just winking.
100%.
Oh, yeah, it makes
For
sense.
real.
And when you're not showing it, it means that you have a small.
That's who. You know,
You're not very proud of it.
no, that's something that used to get me. Was you'd be there in art school and everybody'd have their pictures up on the what do you call it, a pedestal, like the thing that you put, and you go around.
French Chevalier there. I don't know.
Yeah, and they're like, tell us what your reaction to it was, and people would get mad when somebody would be critical. It's like, you're here to learn. If you're not, I suppose that goes back to my reviews. Like we're all making comics, but none of us are pros. Like some of us is our first, shot out of the gate. Like I've been writing books for years and years and years, but I've never actually created or published anything, which is why it's even more impressive when a backer, or if you want to call them a fan, decides, hey, this is cool enough that I'm going to give you my money. Now I've got 100% of the art done, so that is an advantage that I can bring as like a selling point. And while I don't think it necessarily should be the standard, it's something that I can use to my advantage. But even with 100% of the art, they're still giving me their money and saying, hey, in good faith, in goodwill, I want you to deliver me an entertaining product. Hell of a responsibility.
We got Dan Fogarty.
Mm-hmm.
He's here with us.
Yeah,
he says he got one of his World War Hell characters done yesterday. He's pumped.
Yeah, so Dan's part of Brain Cage, along with Greg and I, and Stefani Renee, and a few other creators that are up and coming, and Chris Oak. You guys know Chris Oak? He just joined the Brain Cage team. He's amazing. He did this fantastic picture of Abbott. One of the company men who drew this painted this fantastic bust of Abbott. It's really captured his personality. Somebody said it looks like Big Papa Pump, and I'm like, yes, yes, like Abbott is like Big Papa Pump. He's like Steiner. He's just doing the big poses, and yeah, he is a genetic freak. He's got the same. I never realized how much I was riffing on Big Papa Pump when I come up with Abbott. And the funny thing about writing the story was the characters just came into my head fully created. And I don't know if you guys, when you were writing, if that sort of thing happened to you, I'd get into a situation. I'm like, I know that my story needs another character to riff off for whatever situation. There's not enough bodies here on the panel, so there's this scene where they're trying to get this informant, and he's on a plane flying illegally, smoking himself.
You're talking about the fact that where you create a throwaway character, but you get attached to it and like him so much that he becomes a very dominant character into the story.
I mean, that's definitely a thing that can happen too. I was just saying more like when you need someone for a role, because when I was making the company, man, I didn't make the team up first and then write the story. I had the germ of the idea for the story, and I started writing it. And as I needed extra bodies in the team to do a particular role, these characters would just arrive into my head. So I'm sitting here in the rain. We're out camping on Christmas time a couple of years ago, and it was raining. Had this soggy notebook, and I'm there just writing this, longhand. And there's a scene where this guy's trying to smuggle himself in the country, and they've got like a bloke to come in. He can summon weather, but he can't control it. So he summons the weather, he makes a lightning storm. The lightning hits the plane bursts into flame and starts to plummet to the ground. They're like, "What have you done, man? We need this guy alive. You screwed up." He's like, "Hey, man, I can only summon the weather. I can't control it. You knew that when you brought me out here, when you hired me to do this role." So I knew that the guys were going to need to get this guy off the plane. So Jura, the leader of the team, then turns to Abbott and says, "Abbott, can you jump out there and catch him like the Hulk?" And Abbott says, "No way. At this speed, if I hit him at this speed, I'll cut him in half. Like I'll just shear him in half, and he'll just be a smear. Forget about it." But I didn't know Abbott at that point. He just turned up in my head, and that's what I'm saying. Like he just turns, and I said, I knew he's going to need someone to talk to, someone to say, "Can you do this?" Abbott literally just stepped into the screen and said, "Nah, boss, I can't do that. I'll kill him." And then Jura turns the other way and says to Gates, the teleporter, "Can you teleport him?" And Gates says, "No, he's too far away. He's out of my range." So in those moments, those characters just appeared. And it's funny, they just turned up with their names, their costumes, even their color schemes. But when I look at Abbott now, I can see I definitely was pulling on some Steve Austin, some Hulk Hogan, some Big Papa Pump. There's definitely some visual and aesthetic, and even his personality. He's really brash. He's really crude. He's the sort of guy that's laughing in the middle of the battlefield as he's cutting people in half with his bare hands.
Well, that always sounds good because all those people are certainly characters.
That's right. Yeah, he's the most pro wrestler of all of them.
We got Yoda. Hey, Yoda. And Pale Rider, he says, "Chris is going to be." No, I'm not going to be the Red Wizard, Pale. And it's not a dress, it's a robe. Wizard robe. That's how it works. It's a red wizard robe.
This song,
it's
the
like
song still fits. Lady in Red.
No.
it's like a kilt. A kilt's not a skirt. It's a kilt.
Yeah,
Yeah,
say
kilt.
It's not a tunic. It's a kilt.
Kemosabe. It's a yeah.
Yeah.
Daria,
Yeah, but dude, don't try and shift it. You did not wear a kilt when you did that. You wore a red dress.
it was close enough. Very manly, very masculine. Film.
Mm-hmm.
Greg's favorite is Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh, yeah.
If you ever have Greg on your show, you got to get him to do his. You got to get him to do his Macho Man imitation. It's probably the best I've ever heard. I thought I did a pretty decent one, because everybody can do the. Oh yeah, everybody can summon up enough. Like oh, Buzzsaw is ready, Bonesaw is ready. You can summon up enough of that because we've all seen Spider-Man and we've all watched him wrestle. But Greg will do like a whole tirade as Macho Man. You're like, damn, man, it's like he's right here next to me. I'm hearing it. It's so good.
Let's see here. Oh, Vossen says, "Whoa, Chemo Subway with Kino."
Varson, go home. You're drunk. It's been long overdue. I appreciate you fitting me in because I know you got a lot on and we've had a little bit of trouble trying to make times work. So thanks for being flexible with this.
Oh, no worries. I'll have to get you back on sometime since I kind of effed up the schedule here.
Well, it's a 2-month campaign, so I'll be around. I'll be hitting up the streams until people are sick of me. Until people are saying I'm not another Kemosabe sub stream that'll get rid of him. Then maybe I'll rethink it and go back to doing some quality memes or something.
Anyways, he's gonna have to come back eventually when he has a day off to be part of one of those morning. So our morning viewer is gonna see him.
The morning stream probably won't work with his time though, would it?
Isn't it? Because for him, isn't it late at night, the morning here?
Yeah, it's about 1:30 here, 1:20 here in the afternoon.
Huh. So like 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning for you would be what?
What time is it for you guys now?
It's
9.
now.
So I'm 16 hours ahead. So 11 would be 11. It's only 1 or 2 in the morning. That'd be all right. I could do that.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not a problem. Yeah, just get the kids down, and I'm good for the night.
All right. So
put that in your things to do, Chris.
Because I'm sure there's not a lot of other stuff in there. You've got just all this time. I feel like that. People are like, oh, I'm like, yeah, I'll put that on the list. I was up to like 4 o'clock the morning, night before the campaign went live, just because there's all these little bits and pieces you think you have locked down, and then you get paranoid and you got to go back and you double check, and you think, oh, is that information correct still? And you've had to make some changes. You got to change the graphic, then you got to change the description. It's a whole thing. It's quite an ordeal. I'd certainly Rob from Replicator, he's got a little document about how to do crowdfunding, but I think there could even be a section in there, or somebody could write a section about little things like making graphics and stuff, and just making sure you've got that sort of stuff lined up. Because that stuff, I could have done that 2 months ago, and here I am doing it the night before.
Yeah, I think you could probably write a book on it.
Yeah, whoever does is probably going to do all right with it.
But we're here to talk about company men. I'll bring up the little page here. So we've been kind of going on. What exactly is it about?
All right, so I describe it as Suicide Squad meets Homeland and Body of Lies. Have you ever seen that Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Body of Lies? Got Russell Crowe. He's like a CIA informant in the Middle East, and it's very, very grimy. Lots of shades of grey, lots of moral flexibility stuff. Where you might know this guy's a human trafficker, but you don't arrest or kill him because next week he's going to have info that you need. As long as he can make himself useful, you've got to turn a blind eye to the stuff that he does, because there's bigger things at stake. It's like that sort of big scale storytelling, big scale stakes. So these are metahumans, superhumans. We call them posthumans. They're operating in the Middle East. They're working for the CIA. Some of them are mercenaries. Some of them are ex-military. And they're supposed to be a prevention unit. So go in and stop things from escalating, stop things from getting worse. But really, they're just used as hitmen by the CIA for a long time. They're just sent to places and they just take out people that get in the way of America's interests. However, then they come across this terrorist plot. They find there's going to be a big terrorist attack, and it's going to be something that's so big it draws America into a standing ground war in this imagination nation. And they realize that if they don't stop it, there's going to be lots of innocent people, lots of soldiers going to die, and there's going to be a huge financial cost. And in this timeline, America's already embroiled in a bunch of other wars. They can't really afford one more. So these guys push into this mystery. They're trying to work out who the terrorist cell is, what the attack's going to be, when it's going to go down. But the more they look into it, the more their own government says, hey, you guys don't need to be looking at this. You need to look elsewhere. There's other stuff to do. This isn't a real threat. It's just all rumors. Just forget about it. And eventually get to the point where they push into this mystery so hard, they uncover some stuff they weren't supposed to, and the government just says, righto, you're burned. You're cut off. We've erased all records. You don't work for us. You never worked for us, in fact. You're just rogue agents out there causing problems. And so from that point, not only do they have to stop the terrorist attack, they also have to clear their name, prove their innocence, and prove to the government that they're useful enough to still have around, because you could clear your name, but the government's just going to disappear that info and put a bullet in the back of your head anyway. So these guys, as the story goes on, the stakes just get higher and higher and higher until the point where it's just all their lives on the line and the lives of Americans and the soul of the nation sort of thing. So it ends up being quite a big scale story.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of different parts to it. Sounds like it could be a pretty complicated story there.
It's got a lot of layers. It's got a lot of red herrings, a lot of backstabbing and betrayal. Again, shades of grey. It's like, I know that we say we just want entertaining stories, and I do too. But I also like a story to be smart. I like a story to have a bit of that extra level. And it's not about subverting expectations. I mean, whatever expectations you have from the spiel I just gave you, I'm pretty sure they're going to be met. Like I would bet money that they're going to be met. You get to the end of them, you're like, yeah, that's within the ballpark of what I expected to happen. I'm not going to flip it on you guys and leave you blue-balled. But at the same time, there's enough intrigue, enough layers of lies and half-truths that it keeps you wondering who's really involved, who's guilty. Is there moles within the organization? Is there moles even within the team? So it's a story like that where you can think about it as well as enjoy the action. I mean, it's got action. Like the last more than 12 pages of the book is this huge super villain fight scene in the middle of a crowded city. The company men turn up looking for this guy who's an informant. At the same time, this team of mercs, the same number, so 5 and 5, this team of 5 mercs drops down. So now you've got 10 metahumans, 10 post-humans within the same courtyard, and they're all after this same dude. So it's punch on time, ding, 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 round one, let's go. And it's just this non-stop 10-page battle where they're just kicking the hell out of each other, arms getting pulled off. I mean, and these guys with their powers, they go up the back there with the purple energy. He's called Gates. He's a teleporter. So he'll do stuff like he'll teleport rebar into your head. It just appears in the middle and you're dead, just straight through your brain. Or he'll teleport the bullets out of your gun, or teleport the weapons out of your hand, stuff like that. Or he'll create 2 portals, drop you through one and then the other and back through the first again. And you keep going through and picking up more and more and more momentum. Then he turns them both off and you just street pizza. You just atomize when you hit the ground. Or he'll teleport you 10 foot below the ground into the concrete. Or teleport you 100 foot up into the sky and let you drop. Like these guys they call themselves superheroes because in the world they're referred to as superheroes, but there's nothing heroic about them. These are tough, hardcore, bad dudes. They're mercenaries. They're operators. I said before, if you got 100 people with there's a bomb there, and the only way to stop it from happening is to put a bullet in a kid's head. These are the guys that would do that. And it sounds rough, but would you let 100 people die for that? Who can take on that burden themselves to hurt a child? For example, this is not a situation that comes up in the book, obviously, to hurt a child for the sake of the bigger picture. These are big picture thinking guys. They don't have any qualms about hurting someone else if it serves the bigger purpose. They're driven, they've got agency, and they're competent, which is what I like about them so much. I'm tired of incompetent characters that drop the idiot ball every day or do something really contrary to their character for the sake of the story, or characters that I don't want them to struggle too much. You look at Bond and Batman, they're struggling against overwhelming odds, but it's not from a lack of competency. It's from being overwhelmed or outnumbered. Same thing with these guys. They're not incompetent in any way, shape, or form. Every single one of these guys, with the exception of Ramjet, the speedster in the corner there, because he's a rookie. He's just been brought in new from this team. So Jura goes in. Jura's the ice guy there at the front. He goes in to see the boss, who's the African-American lady. She runs the whole team. And he says, we've got this intel. We're going to move on it. She goes, that's cool. This here is Ramjet. He's the new guy. Take him. And he's like, what are you doing? Give me a rookie. She goes, yeah, you requested a speedster. You've got a speedster. You did the paperwork for a speedster. This is what you've got. Take him with you. And, Ramjet turns up in his full costume. And Jura's like, you don't wear costumes in the Middle East, man. You're just going to get shot in the head if you do that. Go change into something less ostentatious. Walk around with silver lightning bolts on your chest. What were you thinking? He's like, but this is the costume they gave me. I'm a superhero. He goes, there's nothing super about what we do over here. You know, and there's a point there where Jira's like, you know, they're torturing this guy, and he's egging Ramjet on to vibrate his hand at super speed and pass it through the dude's chest to create him, you know, intense pain to get the information out of him. Like and this guy, Ramjet's like, this is not what I signed up for. I thought it was going to be, you know, saving kittens out of trees. I thought it was going to be a superhero doing some good. And Jira's like, yeah, you are doing good, but you're doing bad to do good. We're breaking the eggs to make that omelet, and you can't take that home with you. You can't let the people know that's what goes on over here, because this is the truth of it. So there's like you said, there's complexity and there's layers to it. It's not just a straight up good guys, bad guys, punch on and they win with, you know, some. It's all flat character arcs. You know, you don't have this at the end of it. They're not going to grow as
It's like the gray area thing.
Yeah.
Bond and Batman, again, all flat character arcs. They don't tend to grow as people. At the end of James Bond, he's not a better person. He might be more skilled, more competent. He might have picked up some new information, but he's not like a morally better person. These guys won't be.
He does shitty things. It's like, you know, like when you can bring the highlight of the fact that even if you use the most iconic superhero, right? Use Superman, right? To his bad guys, like to the enemy, like not just say bad guy, but to the enemy. He's the evil son of a bitch. For what he does. So
to them, they're the hero and he's the villain.
Yep.
And you know, in continuity, we've got Superman killing people with kryptonite, other Kryptonians with kryptonite because he had no other choice, and trapping other enemies in the Phantom Zone, which has got to be a kind of living hell.
Yep.
So, you know, when it comes down to it, there's, you know, people with strong moral fortitude will take these really extreme steps for the betterment of society or for a nation. Now, to say that's a fair trade, or to say what steps need to be taken, or to say what the betterment of a society is beyond myself or anybody else, you know, really. Beyond these guys, they just follow orders, but they don't have a problem with it. So this scene here, you've got Jira. So the opening scene, this is my James Bond opening. The beginning of a James Bond movie, he'll do something really, really cool. He'll be backflipping off dinosaurs while twin shooting Uzis and seducing 12 lingerie models. And then he'll get to the end of that scene, and then James Bond music plays. And then you realize that's actually just the intro. The real mission starts after the credits. M calls him into the office and says, hey, Bond, we've got a rogue nuke, you've got to go stop it. Like, that's when the real story starts. So this opening scene is just showing you the sort of dude that Jura is. He rocks up in this African nation. There's a rally being held there. You can see all the crowd there. You can see the signs and the pickets and everything. And the dude's up on the stage behind bulletproof glass. He's got a great line there. He's talking about how this guy Kagosi calls himself a living god. He's a god on earth. You know, some of these dictators, like, you know, North Korea, he's like, I'm literally a god. I'm descended from gods. The Japanese emperor used to be the same. And Jura's like, you ever wonder why these gods need bulletproof glass? You know, like, these guys are so powerful. Why do they need all these bodyguards and all this protection? And he's like, well, even if he was, you know, somehow more than a man, he'd need more than bulletproof glass to have protection from me. So he rocks up there, he drops down, and he starts using his ice powers to assassinate this guy. So Jura was a military, he's an operator. He's doing a mission up in the Arctic. There's an accident up there. It hasn't been disclosed what happened, but he was subjected to really, really low temperatures, like deep sub-zero temperatures. He's dying. The government tried some experimental stuff to try and save his life because he's a valuable soldier. He's a valuable asset. I mean, to train up somebody that's like top-level operator must cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know.
Millions.
Yep, could be. So they didn't want to waste that money. So they did all these experimental treatments to bring his body temperature back up. What it did instead is it stabilized him at this really, really low core temperature and caused him to constantly generate a field of intense sub-zero cold energy that he channels out. So if he didn't have his limiting devices, he's got these inhibitor devices implanted in him that keep his power to a certain level, he would just exude cold and be a walking ice age and just snap freeze everything around him for miles and miles. Instead, that power is all kept contained, like Cyclops' visor. You know, it's always on. It's always, and then he can channel it directly through his gun, shooting blasts of freezing energy. But if he wants to, he can very, very carefully and with a lot of effort manipulate it in less direct ways, and that's what you see him do in the next couple of pages.
Okay. Yeah, I like the way this sounds. It's kind of like a superhero with government wetworks, you know, and how they got to kind of balance that. Dark is like, you know, the moral spectrum, kind of keep a balance there, and it sounds like a very meaty story.
Yeah, there's a fair bit to it, and there's a fair bit of text. It's not overwhelming, it's not Claremont, but there's just, you know, you're talking about how this guy, why hasn't he been taken out before? Well, he knows where the bodies are buried. He helps funnel terrorists down through Pakistan and stuff like that. Like, it talks about the geopolitical ramifications of what this guy's doing. So you see Jura summoning the cold, and he says, I'm going to, Kegosi says that he's a god, but I'm the one about to perform a miracle. I'm going to make it snow in the middle of Africa. So he starts an ice storm. And then over the next couple of pages, what he does is he actually channels the storm directly towards Kegosi. And Kegosi tries to turn it around and say, look, this is God blessing us with purifying snow. We're going to trample the bodies of our enemies. And he's like, nah, bro, this is what it's all about. And he summons all that energy and channels it all directly towards Kegosi. And on the next page, you see what happens. He starts to freeze up, and then his whole body shatters. Just meaty chunks of frozen meat scatter across the stage. You can see his intestines coming out there. There's his stump, and so he's shattering. He's falling to pieces on the stage, and Jura gets a call from boss saying, hey, I need you to go to Nigeria and sort this next problem out. And you realize this is just this dude's 9 o'clock appointment in the morning. Like, this is just his first job of the day. He's got other shit to do. He's off to Nigeria 2 pages later.
Yeah, this is just a normal, like,
this is
whatever thing.
Yeah. And that's what I want people. These guys, they live their job. They're operate at this higher level. You might have flashy superheroes and capes doing pretty stuff for the cameras, but these are the guys that do the really, really seedy stuff that those guys won't dirty their hands with. And if you're over there saving cats in the tree in America, you can only do that because the freedom provided to you by guys who are willing to do this stuff in these other theaters. Now, like, Superman's my favorite superhero, and I love all the Truth, Justice, the American Way. I love the apple pie and all that. Like, I love all that. I'm not being cynical about that or trying to do a deconstruction. This was just the IP I had that I thought was the most colorful, memorable, impressionable, riding on that Jawbreaker's coattails, trying to get some of that sweet, sweet Zack money. This is the one that I developed to the point where I thought I could drop this on CG and they'd be like, yeah, this is cool. So I spent a year building up my platform, doing my reviews, getting involved in Comicsgate. I mean, I've been watching Zack's videos back from his, Captain Marvel videos and his America videos from years and years and years ago, and always consider myself CG, but it's only in the last year or so that I really started to be active and do these reviews and get involved in the in the community more. And then it's a fantastic perspective on this shot where you can see all these little signs left on the ground and just the frost on. I've also got such an amazing art team. So it's Kelso Mazine from Brazil and his mate Dio Lima, also from Brazil. Somebody said, like the Brazilian South Americans are taking over CG, taking over, and a lot of Mexican artists. You got like Renzo Rodriguez, I think he's out of Mexico. Just these fantastic artists who got so much skill, but maybe don't necessarily have the funds or the story to tell to make that sort of thing happen. So I think that's where we can come in almost like patrons. Like, I can afford to pay this guy to make my comic. And then I've also got Stephen Koch, SK from Sigmate Studios, doing the letters, and his letters are just fantastic. Like, you guys know, bad letters will break your book. It doesn't matter how good. If you got low rent letters, your book just looks so amateur. So he did something really cool here, where the green here is the communication from Boss, and it's so close to Jura's body because he's the only one that can hear it. It doesn't make sense for it to be. I'm going to point to the page like you guys can see what I'm talking about. It doesn't make sense to be right over the other side of the screen or the page. G'day, Jerry. It doesn't make sense to be over there because you can't. Nobody else will be able to hear it. So just little things like that, where he does those little things, and I don't know if he's even doing it instinctively or if it's deliberate or what, but he really knows what he's doing. So it's fantastic to be able to add him to the team and put his name on the front cover there.
I tell you, Sam, I'm kind of liking Kemosabe. He's reminded me a lot of Anthony Figueroa. I can just say like a sentence and then he can just take over for a while.
Yeah, I told you would. I don't know why you hated him so much.
Well,
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry, but Kimo will tell you. I'm friends with both of you guys. Man, I don't know why the hate was.
No, Sam, you got to pick a side.
And I remember like Kemosabe going like, I'm worried if I go talk to Chris, he's gonna want to kill me because I stole his name. And I'm like, he's not. Nah, he's not.
And the worst thing is I come in afterwards. Like, like is one thing if it happened at the same time, but I come in afterwards and then I'm like, who's this Kemosabe guy? And it's like, everybody knows Chris. You're the new guy.
Right.
It's weird because when you first came in, right, somebody would say Kemosabe, everybody would think Chris because, but then the more review you did, it was the other way around. People would say Kemosabe when people would go, is that not the guy from Company, man? And, fuck.
Greg's got a good point in the chat. He says Chris hated him because of people calling him Chemo Subway, which I think was a bit of that too. People
Yeah, it's only Greg doing that. That's the thing. He's giving himself a pat on the back now.
Greg's just trying to hype himself up over there in the chat.
Because he's the one that was actually trolling Chris with that word. We didn't call him that all the time.
We got Ryan Cardinals in the chat. Hello, sir.
Yeah, Ryan.
We can get Ryan back on here sometime.
Thanks, Jerry. Yes, I was just saying how good the perspective is on that. Like I can say it's really good because I didn't draw it. It'd be different if I drew it and Jerry comes in and says, "Oh, that's great perspective." I'm like, "Oh yeah, thanks, man, thanks," and be all humble. It's like, nah, it's fantastic, and I know it's fantastic because Kelso's an absolute beast. I saw these pages he did, like submission pages for Marvel, and it was all Punisher stuff with motorbikes and M4s and stuff with the grenade launcher attachments, all screws and bolts. Like, this guy knows paramilitary stuff. He knows vehicles and stuff like that. Like, this is the sort of guy I want in company, man. So I hit him up and said, look, it's it's a 180-page story. It's a big job, but if you like it and if you could do as well as I think you will, it's the first of 4 other books. I got like 4 books altogether that tell the company man story. I said there's spin-offs, there's one-shots. I've already got Abbott's one-shot scripted. I'm talking to a few people about getting that drawn up because he's just come out to be such a fan favorite already. The book's not even out, and people like to tell me more about Abbott. I want to know about that guy. So
for real. No, my wife was looking at the Abbott picture. She goes, "You know what? If they had Abbott topless more in the book, get more female readers."
I'll get him hit by a tank shell and it'll blow off his shirt. And
I keep telling people that if they get the beefcake, they just give cheesecake.
Mm-hmm.
That's
right.
You have to give away. So you have to give out some cheesecake, some beefcake.
Did you see the genetic freak going around with a shirt on? No way. He's showing
right. You don't undersell that.
Right, did you see not wearing a shirt under that jacket? No, he's showing off that freaking shag, and if you notice, everybody remembers that shag.
I'll just get Dio to go back and just.
What's up, X?
Hex is joined us. Hey, Hex. He says Hex out. It's just back company, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. If it's not for you, I was saying this earlier, if it's not for you guys back in this book, it's not a book. It's just a bunch of artwork sitting on my hard drive. There's a bunch of pages Kelso sent me over from Brazil. I'm just a dude paying for really expensive fan art. Like somebody said to me, it's 100% done. All the art's done. I said, yeah, like I've already, I've dropped, by the time it's finished, by the time I get all the colors and letters done, I will have dropped $11,000 on this book. Like I really believe in the project. I really believe that's USD. So that's like $12 million Australian. It's ridiculous in dollar reduced. Exchange rate's pretty good for us at the moment. I won't comment on why that might be, but right now I'm paying $4 for something that costs $3 in America, which has been a while since it's been that good. But that's how much I believe in the project that I was just willing to put that money up front. And it is a 180-page story, but at the rate that I was getting it done, it'd be 2023 before you guys saw this. So I said, no, we're going to cut this up into 3 issues. It perfectly fits the 3-act structure anyway. So the whole first issue is, as Jerry knows, the struggle is real. The whole first issue ends with if you know story structure, you go beyond through the door. There's a new normal. The old normal doesn't apply anymore. Their old normal was there is no terrorist attack coming. There is no terrorist cell going to blow up an embassy or something and kill a bunch of people. That's not an issue. The new normal is that is a real thing and it has to be dealt with. So by the end of the first issue, they're 100% sure this is a real thing, because if it wasn't, nobody would be hiring these mercenaries to stop them on the way. Nobody would be trying to sabotage their efforts so hard. When they go to the government and say, hey, we've got this proof, this tangential proof that it's a real thing, they're like, no, we're not interested. And they're like, well, hold on, there's a lot more going on here than we know. And that's where the second act, where you're dealing with the new normal. Something I love about that bottom pen, I'll just say real quick, there's a lamppost there, and it says the front of a police station in Nigeria. This guy who's an informant for the company man's been nabbed by the Nigerian police. They've got him his balls hooked up to a car battery in a cell somewhere, and they're trying to get information out of him, information the company men need. So they storm in there to try and get this guy back just long enough to get the information. They don't want him alive. They just want his intel. So it's a police station, and then Kelso drew these bullet holes in the lamppost out the front. And I just remember thinking, that's so spot on. Like, doesn't that prove what a dangerous part of the world this must be? Who opens fire in front of a police station? That's a sure way to get capped. But somebody did it here because it's so lawless, it's so loose. They could do that and get away with it. And I just think he brings, you guys pay your artists and pay them what they're worth and pay them well, because they bring so much to the table that you just don't even think about. Like I think about all the character arcs, and I think about what they stand for and their history and what they care about, and the dialogue. Like the dialogue is fun and it's funny. You got 5 operator dudes narking on each other the whole time, constantly slinging shit in that true blue Aussie way where all a nation is shit talkers. There's a lot of that sort of stuff, but then there's also that loyalty and camaraderie and brotherhood as well. But stuff like that, the visual stuff like bullet holes and a lamppost, I wouldn't have thought to put that there. So he just brings a whole nother level to the book. I'm just so blessed to be working. I say I'm blessed, but I pay them top dollar. So they're lucky to be working with me because I'm putting their kids through college.
Oh God, having electric stuff attached to your balls, I'd probably squeal.
I think I would.
I'm like, I'll tell you whatever you want. Just leave it. Just leave the vital area alone.
Yeah. Like literally whatever you want. Just tell me the words you want me to say, and I'll say them.
I'll say
This is cool. This is getting a lot of positive feedback from people. This is actually a scan off the back of an old G.I. Joe packet, and all the information was, Photoshop used the clone tool to remove it, and then I made these profiles for all the characters. So this is something that's going to be in the book. So we've got a deluxe edition of the book, and it's got character profiles for the company man and all their enemies, and it's even the same format. Like if you look at the old G.I. Joe at the back there, like it's got the same font. It's got the same bits are bolded and the same bits that are small, same bits that I copied the format exactly. It's got serial numbers and code names and all that sort of stuff. And it just gives you a little peek about who they are and why they do what they do and maybe where they got the powers from. Then there's a cool little quote or a bit of trivia down the bottom about each character. I like Abbott's one. Abbott's one is the bounty on his head is larger than the bounty on every other post-human in the region combined. Like he's such a threat. He's such a menace. If there's anybody they want dead, it's Abbott, because he's this big blonde, white, blue-eyed Hulk that comes into the Middle East and starts kicking their tanks over like their toys. That they hate that dude, but they haven't got anything strong enough to take him out.
Every time you talk about Abbott, I just picture him just spouting off like Papa Pump.
I'll get some fan art. Yeah, I'll get somebody to draw. I'll probably get Renzo Rodriguez because he does a great Abbott. I'll get Renzo to draw a couple of pages of him doing the Papa Pump math spiel.
Yeah, he's just doing like the
15% chance makes a 13% chance. I'll get that made up.
He's just sitting there yelling it to the Middle East people.
Got these guys with AKs like, what is he talking about? 16% chance, but that's 1/4 chance. What is this guy talking about? That could be a thing.
What? And he just like smashes their tank.
It is violent and there's a lot of swearing in it. Like it's got an M or MA rating on the front cover. I don't know if it really drift into R territory these days. Back when we were kids, it definitely would have been R. There's no nudity or boobs or anything like that in it, which is a shame because boobs are fantastic, but it's just not something that come up in the story. There's only really one female in the whole book, and that's the boss who runs the show. And she wasn't meant to be as hot as she was. Kelso's like, I love working on your book, brother, and I appreciate you paying me, on time, but dudes, can I draw some hotties? I'm like, I don't really have any. He goes, well, can we have hookers here and prostitutes there? I'm like, I guess women. He's just desperate to draw some cheesecake. So
he's like, come on.
Yeah, he's like, can we make?
Yeah, come on, let me draw some boobs.
So I definitely have to work that into the next company man script.
Well, I need some sex appeal in this. Come on.
He said,
Give me inspiration.
Can we make Boss sexier? Can we go Pam Grier with it? We go Foxy Brown, Cleopatra Brown. I'm like, yeah, do that. Go for that. Why not? He's like, he'll suggest something and I just say, yeah, do it. That's cool. Like, it doesn't change the core story. So why not be flexible with that stuff?
Okay, Chris, it's 9:45.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Abbott doesn't give a fuck. Not $1, not $2. It's actually $0.
Hold on, that's who he is. I mean, he's 90 years old. Nothing's ever hurt him. Nothing's ever killed him. Anything that does any sort of damage, it'll grow back. Like he's just this unstoppable. He's like Ben Grimm, Colossus level sort of strength and invulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
The power levels in this aren't crazy. There's not like a big Superman dude that's shifting continents around. Not that I've got a problem with that. I love that, but it's just not the scale I'm looking for with company men. Abbott's definitely the strongest of the team. He could probably solo the rest of the team himself, really, just because of the amount of damage he's meant to take. But he's certainly not a Mary Sue. Like you put enough damage on him and it will go down. It just hasn't happened yet. It might happen in this book. You'll have to buy it to find out.
I am excited about him now. Just have him just being like a wrestler type promo guy all the time.
Like I love my pro wrestling. It just never occurred to me how much of a like he's literally like dropping a pro wrestler in the middle of this comic, and he even talks like it too. He's the one that's taunting the enemy, saying, you know, come on, and coming up with putting them down and calling them names and making fun of them and stuff. He's the one not quipping, but just being disrespectful to the enemy. That's probably the best way to describe him. He's in the Middle East fighting all these bad guys, the terrorist stuff, and he's really disrespectful. He'll say the stuff that you know will make them mad. He'll go after what they believe and what they do to get under their skin in the middle of, you know, squashing heads with his bare hands and punching holes in tanks.
To see him being like on a TV screen, like, "Ooh, Osama bin Laden, I'm coming for you, cream of the crop."
I got to do that too. I got to get like a fantastic call out promo and have him calling out Osama bin Laden. That'd be great.
Greg's saying he can't wait to hold this book in his hands and read it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the real thing. The art's 100% done. Kelso's working on issue 2 right now. He might be literally sleeping at this very second. Oh, I just got a new contribution. Thanks, whoever that was. That's great to see. Somebody else just pops up an email and says, somebody else backed your book.
Oh, great.
But it's you know, he's working on issue 2 right now. I should be getting the next 5 pages, the first 5 pages of issue 2 tomorrow or the day after. I'd say no later than the day after. So that's where we're at. Like all this stuff's budgeted separately from the campaign. The campaign's really to fund the publishing and fulfillment. Now, obviously, I want to make money. I want to put an extension on my house. I want to, you know, like I want to do stuff. I want big money. I want to make this my career. It's not a cash grab. I've got a lot of stories planned out. I've got a lot of IPs planned out. I know I'm a good writer. I know it's a quality product. I just got to get it in front of enough eyes, you know, because if you show it to 100 people, 50% go, that's really cool. You tell them a bit more about it. 20% go, oh, yeah, it's a bit spicy for me. I might dip out, you know. So, you know, you sort of whittle down the actual hardcore people. I think, Simi, you were saying before, like that 10% who actually show up.
Yep.
You know, like I got to think more about it in those sort of terms. I say to my wife, you know, we've sort of hit 60 something backers in the first day, and she goes, "You happy with that?" And I said, "Oh, like honestly, I thought it'd be a little bit more. I thought I'd be a bit more."
You know, when I launched my first campaign, and I noticed that I needed to learn a few little things. I went to take a business class, and that's when all that, you know, the 10% thing, you start seeing it differently. And you don't take stuff, you know, stuff personally, and you keep track on what you have to do in your eyes and your focus.
Yeah, something I say in a lot of my videos is like running advice. You know, your work is not you. Your value is not tied up in how good or bad your work is, whether it's amazing or whether it's terrible. There's some amazing writers that are complete D-bags, and there's some fantastic people who couldn't write the way out of wet paper bag. That doesn't affect your intrinsic value as a human being. So, you know, like not doing as well as I hoped would not be something I'd take personally. But my wife was really great at putting it in perspective. She writes as well. She writes novels under a pseudonym, and she was on like one of these, you know, Facebook type pages sort of thing, you know, writers and writers workshops and stuff. And there's a woman there that had been writing for 3 years, and she just sold her first book today. She'd been publishing for 3 years on Kindle, putting her books up for, you know, $1 free, 99 cents. But she just sold her first book today after 3 years, and she was cheering. And I thought that was heartbreaking. And then my wife said, "You sold more than 60 in the first 12 hours." So, like,
yep,
you know, that's the perspective.
It's perspective. It's your way of seeing things. It's you have to give yourself like an obtainable goal, right? A basic goal, and have different goal in life. Like your goal might be Z, right? You want to get that amount. But give yourself like different goals because it keeps you motivated along.
Personal goals as well as financial ones, creative goals. This many people interested, this much feedback. Get somebody who you respect to give you an opinion of their book, or get a review by something, like, you know, those sort of things to keep you going. Because it's just
exactly.
You know,
like when you realize that you notice that somebody's a good writer. Well, you know, you give him your book and you get a review from them. It's how it is, and it's how you grow as a person, and you have to be you know, the thing is, you as a creator, you're very attached to your creation. You cannot be that attached to the business side of it.
That's it. It's perspective, you know, and her saying, you know, think about it, 60 versus 1, 12 hours versus 3 years. That's the perspective right there, you know. So
you're doing as good as people that are on their second campaign, third campaign when they launch, which is pretty good, dude.
Yep.
And I would say, I will say it, Company Man is a solid IP. I am interested.
I will be getting one.
We got
Thank you.
Mr. Beacon in the chat. He says he got his Hex Allen sketch card of Rose the other day. Hopefully it came in, all good and no issues. I tried to put little cardboard things on each side and get a nice bubble wrap envelope, so everything would be all right.
Sweet.
Greg's saying also you're a new creator. A lot of CG backers are weary of trusting new creators. Next campaign will be much bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, I've called it before. Your first book's an expensive business card. Get it in someone's hand. They go, "Oh, this guy delivered. Cool." I mean, I've got 100% of the art, and some people seem impressed by that, but other people still seem to be pretty cynical. And so you got your little graphic there shows 100% of the art, 50% of the colors, 25% of the colors are done. Jerry makes a good point. You're going to sell this book for the rest of your life. So this is the first of 3 issues that makes up the first Company Men movie. The second one, Heart of Darkness, another 180 pages, 3 issues of 60 each. That's already scripted. The next one's called Cold War. That's scripted. I'm working on the 4th one, Insurgent. And these are all 180 pages, 360-page books. That's just the main line that covers the next couple of years of the Company Men. There's also, like I said, there's spin-offs. Abbott's got his own book. Dean James is really keen to draw a book on Cinder, the fire bloke. He used to be a mafia hitman. He's actually the only post-human on the team that's born that way. The rest of them all had been grown or genetically enhanced or had something added to them to make them the way they are. And he's like the perfect hitman. He can create smoke. He can fit into any gap, no matter how small, as long as it's not airtight. He can create intense heat. Like he's like an arsonist hitman. He'd kill anybody you want, cause someone to suffocate or asphyxiate. He can channel smoke into your lungs and cause you to die. There's a bunch of ways he could kill people and would look like accidents. Nobody could ever really pin it on him. And boss comes along and says, I see you getting, well, no pun intended, burned out. Let me give you a job that matters. If you're going to kill people and you can't stop killing people, let's kill the right people. Don't be killing shop owners if you've got their payment one week and Don Mafioso want them taken out. You come over where I am and you make a real difference. So even though he's kind of lighthearted and jokey in a lot of ways, he's actually probably the most patriotic of all of them. He's the biggest believer because he needs this to be a real thing. He needs this job to matter. Otherwise, he's just a killer, and he had enough of that already. So these guys have got layers, even though they don't change so much. It's just interesting to see who they are. And like I look at that picture, I'm like, I want to know, I feel like people be looking at saying, I want to know who these guys are. I think they're visually different enough. The powers are broad enough that's going to make people interested.
I don't see it drawn in tier.
Because the art's all done.
Yeah.
Is there a 2-book tier?
No, the
Gosh dang it, Sam.
What?
I know why you're asking
about a 2-book tier was because I got 3 variants. I'd have to do either each possible permutation of the 3, and one of them was supposed to be a limited time only book, and one was a secret.
Do you have add-ons?
So what you do is you get the highest tier that you want. So if you just want a book, you get the book. If you want one of the pieces of artwork, you get that. On the next screen, you can add on a copy of the book that you want, either the deluxe or the standard. Okay. There is a secret one, but you had to have been a signed up backer on and I was pushing that pretty hard for the last 2 months, I think 3 months. I was pushing it pretty hard. You had to be a signed up backer to get the Renzo Rodriguez cover. You can get it in the triple pack if you want to buy all 3, but on its own, you had to be a signed up backer.
Okay. And let's see. Where was that thing I just seen? This. Greg says also the Battlegate Villain Pack isn't in the campaign yet. What's that?
All right, so work with, we're part of Braincage Studios. This is the Company Men's the first part of the first wave of Braincage. Greg's Gun Demon is the second part of phase 1 of Braincage. So we've also developed a collectible card game like Magic or like Versus. So, you get your cards out on the field, they battle, values, that sort of thing. I used a huge collection of Versus cards. I loved that, being able to slap down Cyclops or Superman and have that back and forward. I just really enjoyed those games. So we've got a game called Battlegate. One of the stretch goals for this campaign, if we get into the sort of money we're talking about where it'd be viable, is the creation and publication of a starter deck of villains from my book and from Greg's book and some of the other Braincage Studio creators as well. So you'd be getting a 20 or 30 card deck, and you'd be able to play that. But then in Greg's campaign, the hope is that he has the hero deck. So you're going to be getting some Company Men characters. You're going to be getting some Gun Demon characters. mix and match or whatever, but then you can just play against each other that way. We're also getting cards made and decks made, booster packs made for other creators that aren't necessarily part of Braincage Studios. So you've got some people that have got established IPs. I won't go throwing names around until stuff's really, really locked in, but people whose campaigns you will have seen and probably backed, they've approached us and said, hey, we love this idea. Can we get a booster deck or can we get a pack made for my character? Said, yeah, sure. So it's going to fit into the same rules and you'll be able to throw down, some character from another campaign, another property, and they'll be able to interact with the company men on the board there.
Okay. Every time you said deck, it kept sounding like dick in my head.
I wonder if that's your head.
Greg's got the hero dick. Let me.
It's almost 10, dude.
I know. I'm going to switch over to Mr. Tank Ferret, see how his
It's looking nice.
work is turning out. Yeah, it's looking good.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm having fun. I'm going to make this giant CG collage, and then I'm going to throw it, and then I'm going to torrent it up to the darknet.
You do it.
Yeah, just fun. This is fun. That's what it is. That's what CG comics are. They're fun.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Whatever happened with your project, Mr. Tank?
It is making a comeback. I had to go back and tune it up a little bit. I really want to make sure that.
Which one was it again?
That's the Scalpel Zero.
Yeah, Scalpel.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming back. I've got fresher designs. Oh nope, that's a meme. Of course, that's a great meme.
Yes. Yeah, yours was it?
Yeah.
Nice. I saw that yesterday. I'm sure, or last night.
But I've got some new designs for the Scalpel Zero and whatnot. Working with different bits of equipment, kind of, plug and play. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just doing like I'm probably going to turn this into a GIF because it's just so much fun to play Paper Doll sometimes. But yeah, it's going to be good. I was just talking about how I love and hate the 4-page hallway fight scene homage to the scene from Old Boy.
Yep.
And how much more respect I gained for the artist, because that was just, I swear I bawled it just a little bit more that day.
I've managed to keep all mine, but it goes grey. I can feel it. Something happens, I can feel it, and I can just feel one strand going grey right there. I'm like, okay, that got me. That got me right in the brain.
So thank you for bringing that up though, because I'm getting ready to start teasing folks and getting it back out there, and this time it's for real.
Yeah, because I remember I used to see the pictures of her with the bullets like holes on her and stuff. I was like, yeah, it looks pretty cool.
It's gonna be.
I was like, what do I ever have to? It never came out.
It's gonna be great. I don't know which picture you're talking about too. Autosave. Come on. There we go. Let's see here. I think I opened that one recently. Where did I hide that? No, I did not open that one recently. That's okay. Oops. I hit the wrong button again. Dang it. I do this a lot, and I do it even more when nobody's looking. But we'll say, it's because you're looking. Let's see, go find stuff, things.
That way. File.
Yes.
Drawing.
Open.
Recover.
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, that's the old promo picture that I had, and she's still gonna look like that at the end of the book. Like at the beginning of the book, pristine, nice clothes, nice gear. At the end of the book, just shot to shit, cut, blown up, beat up. Tough fight all the way through.
You've just sold. I didn't know the premise. I saw some of the artwork on the last stream we were on. You just sold me on it, man. The idea that she starts off a bit like Kill Bill, she starts off in this pristine yellow Bruce Lee outfit. By the end of it, she's just an absolute mess, struggling to walk. Like that journey. Yeah. She goes that physical journey. Like you show me that picture and you tell me just that one sentence. She starts off pristine, ends up looking like this by the end. I'm like, here's my money, Tank. Take my money, son.
Dude, yeah, no, and she's wearing a fire hose because that's all she can find to use as a bandage. Because robot as she is, she's an android. It's a cybernetic android. So we got organic components. Leaking is bad for everything that holds liquid.
True, that's true.
So yeah, no, it's gonna be so dang good, man. And I've got so many cool people helping me out behind the scenes on it. And I'm like you said, I'm blessed, man. I'm super lucky. Like one of the guys who's been one of my QC guys on behind the scenes, he was on my show last night, and he's back in your book. He's back in Company Man, and he's not a comic fan. Like he represents the general market.
And I do think Company Man's got that broad general market appeal because it's not. I love spandex and cape shit. I say cape shit affectionately. I love it. I love the stuff. I love the secret identities and the drama and all that. But I do think if you go that sort of broader, almost pushing into sci-fi as opposed to spandex and capes, you can get that that broad general public appeal. I think it's great that it's working out that way.
Gentlemen, I need to start. I need to get going. I'm quite
to work.
Yeah, I'm actually late for work. So
everybody give a like, sub, and please share because we're trying to get more followers for Mr. Kemosabe. I was gonna fuck it up again. Hey, after hearing Kemosabe here talking for a while, you can understand why. So Kemosabe, get him more likes, over 500 subs, and we'll do a really, really, really nice giveaway of original art. And yeah, go back, Company Man, and go check out Tales from the Netverse.
Yeah, it looks like got a couple more backers during the stream, so that's great. Yeah, please, if you're new to the channel, please give me a sub. That would always be wonderful. More subs we get, the more eyes we can get on these folks' campaigns.
That's it.
And thanks for joining us, Mr. Kemosabe and Mr. Tank Farron.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll try to get you back on again. I didn't get to do the whole spiel, or keep it going until we felt like it. I had to cut this one up short. That sucks. But
I appreciate everything you can do.
Yeah, and we'll see everybody again soon. Bye, everybody.
Hey, everyone, thanks.